Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm going to be sharing a card layout with you today, and I've got 3 samples for you. One of them is even the same layout, but a different orientation to give you some alternate ideas. A card layout or a card sketch is a way for you to create your card, making it simple by giving you an idea where the design elements go. These are the quick look at the cards we're going to be creating together today. I'm going to demonstrate one of them with you. You'll find the card layout with the cutting dimensions down in the video description below. Make sure that you click and scroll down to the link that will navigate you over to my website. If you prefer, you can head right over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on the blog post for May 27th, 2020. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you click the subscribe button, and right next to it, make sure you click that bell icon. That will send you notifications of when I'm live right here on YouTube, as well as when I share a new project. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card layout. The first thing I did was I used the rectangle stitch dies, and I used the largest frame that was here on a piece of designer series paper. This designer series paper is called World of Good, and it coordinates beautifully with the stamp set I'm going to be using today called Beautiful World. There are coordinating dies to this stamp set as well that we'll be using today. We've got our stitched frame here, and we're going to begin by adding that to the card base. I'm going to be using basic black cardstock. I did score it in half right before you joined me. This is 5.5 by 8.5, so I scored at 4.25. I've got my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. This is going to eventually get layered here, but I want to talk you through the next step. From that exact same package of designer series paper, you're going to see there's some beautiful foil finishes. Like most of the Stampin' Up! Designer papers, they are double-sided, giving you lots of options to use for lots of projects. This is cut 1/2 inch by 4.5, and I want to create a banner tip on this one end. You can certainly do that with your scissors, but my favorite way is to use the tailored tag punch. You're going to see this area up here at the top creates the perfect banner tip. I'll take my designer series paper strip. I'm going to place that down inside. I am looking to align the center of the designer series paper to the point here on the punch. Once you're happy with the positioning, go ahead and just punch that out. I'll be using my silicone craft sheet. I'll flip this over. I'm going to add adhesive to the back side. The silicone craft sheet is perfect for your work surfaces because adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. It'll simply rub right off. It's going to keep your work surface sticky free. This is that designer series paper. This does have a direction to it, so I'm checking to make sure it's going the right way. And I'm going to attach this banner down here near the lower quarter of this designer series paper. I'm looking to align it just inside that stitched frame. And then once I'm happy with the placement, we'll go ahead and tack that down. I'll go ahead and flip this paper over. And on that really pretty foil side, we're going to add adhesive. And this is going to get centered on the front of our card base. And that'll get attached here. I chose to use a piece of very vanilla cardstock for my globe image, and I've got that here. The great thing about this stamp set, you're going to see that it shows both sides of the globe. In addition to that, you're going to see the quill and the ink here, as well as some really cool backgrounds, and the compass, and wonderful greetings you can add to your card. I'll be using the Memento black ink pad for this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink that up. Since the center of my globe is solid, I want to make sure I get a good impression. When you go to stamp this, I want to make sure that you understand that it's not defective. The stamp was actually made so that the images of the world inside of here look worn and rustic. So it's not going to be perfectly solid. I'm going to push that off to the side for just a moment, and I've cut myself a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This measures 1 by 2 3/4, and I measured it to fit the greeting that I chose from that stamp set. This says, "Life's a beautiful journey." We're going to go ahead and ink that up as well, and I'm going to stamp that right here in the center. You'll remember that I said that the stamp set has a coordinating set of dies called World Map. There's overlays for the globes that you stamp. There's also stands, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this one off, and I'm going to pull out that round circle here that's going to die cut this image. I decided to make the stand for my globe out of gold foil paper. I'm going to go ahead and I'll line these up, and I'm going to pass these through my die cutting machine. Our next step is to take these 2 pieces and let's attach them. I'm going to be using my silicone craft sheet once again so that I can use a little bit of liquid glue to attach these together. I wanted to make sure that my globe was suspended inside the access of this frame so it looks a bit more realistic. So I'm only going to add tiny drops of liquid glue right across here. I'm going to flip that image over here on my silicone craft sheet, and you might recall that I said that liquid glue Hot glue and adhesive will not stick to the surface. I like to make sure that my glue is running well, so I'd like to give it a little tap here on my silicone craft sheet to make sure I don't have any clumps coming out. As a matter of fact, because you need so little and that glue is very strong, you can actually use the tip to pick up some of that glue, and you're going to place just tiny, tiny drops right across here. Now, I realize that's going to be near impossible to see in the video because I want to make sure that I'm using it sparingly because it is quite strong. The other thing is I want to make sure that I don't have so much on that it's going to ooze outside of that area. The great thing about liquid glue is it allows you to slide it up and down just a little bit to get the proper positioning, and then we're going to hold that in place for just a few seconds, and then we'll let that dry. Once this glue dries, it's going to turn an opaque finish, and you can rub it right off the silicone craft sheet. Let's go ahead and turn the image over, and we're going to strategically place some dimensionals. These are double-sided pre-cut pieces of foam tape. So I'm going to add them here and here. I'm going to balance this well because I know I'm going to be mailing my card, and I want to make sure that it comes out well balanced after it goes through the postage machine. For the small areas in here, I'm going to gravitate over to the mini dimensionals. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool with that paper piercing tool attachment to help me lift these. I'm going to place 2 here at the bottom of that stand. And then what I've done is I've taken my scissors and I've cut right here on the paper, and I've cut those mini dimensionals in half, making them even smaller. Using your Take Your Pick tool is going to make this a lot easier for you. It's going to help you pick them up. So I'm going to attach one of those halves here, and I'll just tack that in place. Now all we have to do is use the Take Your Pick tool, paper piercing tool attachment, and we'll remove those paper backings. I've got our globe here, and then here is our card base. And then I'm just going to line this up where I'm going to want to adhere it. I'm going to put this closer to the left-hand side because I want to make sure that I leave room on top of this banner strip here for our greeting, which is here. I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to add adhesive to the back side. As I said in the introduction, I have several other samples to share with you. One is the same layout, but a different orientation. This is going to get tucked up underneath here, making sure that you can read it, and then we're just going to tack that in place. A very simple but striking masculine card. Now let me share the other samples with you. I've gone ahead and used the Under My Umbrella bundle. This is the stamp set and the coordinating umbrella builder punch. I used a very simple color palette. Isn't this color gorgeous? This is one of the new in colors in the brand new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog called Magenta Madness. I'll give you a quick look at that new catalog in just a moment. I did use Stampin' Blends markers to color in the images, but you're going to see that the layout is identical. Now this next one that I have for you uses the same layout, but it's a different orientation, which means it's going up and down. Now you might notice too that this card is a little bit larger than these cards. And the reason is I'm using the Flowers for Every Season Memories and More card pack. So these cards are already pre-printed with this border on them. They have white insides. They have coordinating envelopes to them as well. Those are also in the new catalog. And that stamp set is called Jar of Flowers, and it's offered as a bundle with the coordinating punch that punches out that adorable jar. Just like this one, I've colored it with the Stampin' Blends markers. So it's the exact same layout. All I did was change the orientation of the card. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you are interested in receiving this brand new beautiful catalog that debuts in 1 week on June 3rd, head over to lisasstampstudio.com, click on Contact Me, and you can request a catalog there. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It certainly helps. And I look forward to having you join me next time. Have a great day.